be making notes and things as well along the way. So tell me about you. Tell me what made you reach out?
So yeah, so basically I'm a spiritual and mindset coach, and I do energy work as well. So lots of energetics, and so I help basically really excited, energized, motivated women to who want to become leaders or are leaders or entrepreneurs to break through their limited beliefs and energetic blocks so that they can take quantum leaps and move forward, whether it's in business or their personal life. So just really breaking free of the shackles and getting to that point of freedom and feeling that amazingness of what life can bring. And that's essentially what I do. And so for me, it's really helping people, not just from working with the subconscious mind, but really bringing in the energetics work, helping people connect to their higher selves, and really using that as a way to break through any physical ailments as well, and really releasing low vibration from the body and taking that to high vibration. And part of what that is diving into things like money blocks, for example. And money is obviously like at the front, and behind that sits a lot with self-worth, and again the limited beliefs. And so I help people to dive into where that's come from, where it stems from. And a lot of the time it's from parents, from what they've learned from a young age. It could be through ancestors, so in the DNA. It could be past lives, so I take people through past life regression as well, and just really helping people to getting to the root of what is stopping them from moving forward, whether it's in money, in relationships, in their business. So I basically help people to set the foundation of where they want to go, and then help them to catapult forward into that life that they keep thinking, can I get there, can I get there? And I just say, yes you can.
And actually, it's interesting you use the word thinking because the old paradigm is very much about thinking, isn't it? Where we're actually this whole manifestation game that we're in is much more about feeling, isn't it? And getting when our vibration matches our dreams, that's when it all starts to fall into place for us. I'm really
Yeah.
interested to know a little bit more about what you said about you help them to release. So getting what do you have like techniques that you use to release all that old stuff?
Yes. So what I do is I take them through a process called the E4 trauma method, which is trademarked in the US, and it was basically put together by my coach and mentor, Dr. Erin Full Haskell, and she has trademarked that process. So I'm probably one of about 20 people in Europe who are currently trained in that. And so in the UK, probably one of like 10, I think, currently trained in it. And what it does is it basically takes you through 4 steps. So it helps you. What I do is it's essentially taking you back to traumas through people's lives. And when we talk about trauma, we're not talking about a car accident or going to war, for example. That's what the
Mm.
misconception is. Trauma is when we're in a high negative state of emotion, and then a decision or a declaration is put into the subconscious mind. So what I help people do is to go into the subconscious mind, re-experience that, without evaluating the situation, feeling the emotions, getting them to release the negative emotions and the negative charges from that, and then getting them to a point of enlightenment. So wherever they've had that trauma, we basically reprogram it to something actually amazing, something that is powerful for them in the here, in the now. Because a lot of people are running on old programming but trying to live a new life. So it's really helping people to change that. So that's one of the techniques that I use. I also do past life regression, which basically takes them to a past life and does the same process. You relive the experience and release the charges from the past life, in getting to a point of understanding how that's projecting into this lifetime, and then getting to a point of enlightenment and understanding of how you can move forward and feeling empowered in the here and the now. So that's part of what I use. Those are the main techniques. And then I see behind you, you've got the Believe book.
I have the book, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, so that's kind of what I bring into it. I've also done a lot of work with Raf and Liv, so I'm bringing in the higher self, and so part of like my capability is to be able to help people to connect to their emotions, and helping them to release low vibration from their bodies and do healing as well. So that's kind of what I incorporate as well. And essentially that's kind of like where those manifestations, like we're manifesting 24/7, but where you've got that low vibration, it's, you know, it hinders how it's coming through. So helping people to release that on both science spiritual side as well as the real, you know, getting into non-physical side and incorporating that into one. And that's kind of how I help my clients to thrive forward. So I know I kind of went on off a tangent, but that's essentially what I do.
What you do is so, I mean, I've had this experience, which is that I do a lot of stuff in America. I'm always in America, and it's interesting that you said that the technique you use is American. And I went on my honeymoon to California and stayed with an English guy who lives in California for a night or two, and he said his experience of Americans is that they're very forward thinking. You know, they came from the Pilgrim Fathers and people escaping potato famines and dictators in Europe, and so they've got that real survival instinct, and they're very much they're sort of leading. They're stepping forward. They spearhead a lot of movements, and my feeling over the last few years has been that we're a little bit further behind
Mhm.
in Europe in general. We're a bit reserved. We quite like our history. I mean, I wonder how many people would recognise that book. That book's been
Exactly.
all the time I was doing the summit. You're the first person to go, "Oh my gosh, you've got the Believe book," and some of that language. You know, I'm completely happy with my higher self, and we've got a good thing going. But but I have noticed that, you know, when we say some of this language, we use some of this language out loud, and people look at you as if to say,
Mhm.
"You're a bit mad."
Yeah.
And I hold Galileo. I always just bring in Galileo and go, "It's okay. We knew. They believed us in the end that the Earth was spinning around the sun, not the other way around."
Exactly.
And there is more and more of this stuff coming onto the planet at the moment. But it is quite a lonely journey, I find. I
It
don't know
is.
if you
It
have
is.
that experience. Did you say that you work with female leaders? Are you
Yeah.
finding that an easy thing to break into? I mean,
Um, I it's an interesting question you ask because I feel like there's so many coaches now, but what I find is because I have an accountability buddy who is a male coach, and he has mentioned that women are just so much more open to being coached or asking for help
yeah.
or, you know, being vulnerable, whereas guys are very shut off from it.
Mm,
So I started off my coaching with working with both male and females, but I just found very similar to that women were more likely to be able to invest in themselves. They were more open to it. They were more willing to learn how to, you know, get in touch with their emotions essentially, whereas men were a bit more harder of a area to crack. And yeah, he's still finding his feet trying to work with men, even though he's a man. You know, he thought more people would resonate with him, but he's
mm,
finding it difficult to connect with
yeah.
niche, really. Yeah.
I think most calls I go on are about 80% women.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I really admire men for stepping into it. And I think it's very, you know, I have four brothers and one sister, and the way I speak with my sister is so different to the way I speak with my brothers. And And I think men just haven't over the centuries, certainly the last decades, haven't really been given that space to express themselves.
Yeah.
They're not as well trained, and they yeah, they've got used to. I was married for 18 years to a teacher who was quite a bit older than me, and he would his the way he closed in on his emotions and his feelings is, quite painful looking, a lot of it. And a
Yeah.
lot of what we're moving into is a space of this much freer. You have an emotion, you can express it and you can release it and you can move forward, is the thing
Yeah.
I'm discovering now, which, having spent years in talk therapy, I'm delighted to find that there are that there are quicker and easier techniques
Yes,
to get that.
exactly.
So I'm yeah, that was going so well. I was almost thinking we could leave it, but it's not going to happen because I've gone because I've structured enough. I'll use this more as research, and if you're happy, we'll book another call to actually record. So I'm recording this for my
Yes.
research, and then we
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
a time when we absolutely know that we're going to record it and we're going to publish it and everything.
No
So,
problem at all.
are you what are you kind of what are your what's really working for you in business?
In terms of what exactly?
In terms of your own, what's the most sort of what really works? What are you finding that, yes, this is where the energy flows? I just have ease and flow when I move in this direction.
I think it's like the energy work and doing the E4 trauma method. It's like when I'm doing that and seeing, you know, people release those negative charges, release that low vibration, and just seeing their body sort of change and seeing that relief on the other side of it. I
Mm.
think that is what really lights me up. Like that's what makes me think this is worth it. Like as much as, like, any entrepreneur goes through their ups and downs and roller coasters and being thrown down a hill. It's those moments that keep you going, essentially. And yeah, I think for me the other thing that's working, um which I just keep manifesting, is these sort of opportunities. Is when we were coming into 2021, I was sort of having a conversation with my higher self, and I said one word, and I said 2021, sorry, and I said the word collaboration. And the amount of collaborations that are just coming up is just incredible. So it's just, like a lot of my, you know, I don't know what I'd call them. I guess friends who are entrepreneurs as well. They're
Mhm.
going to PR agencies and things like that. Whereas for me, it's just been with ease. I've been, I'm on part of a summit at the moment. I've done a conference in Canada. Um,
Wow.
I've been on a few podcasts. I just, yeah, I'm doing guest expert sessions in people's Facebook groups. I've been doing expert sessions in people's masterminds, and they've just come with ease, and it's been incredible. And I just love it. I've got, in fact, two today. I've got two, one which is going to be later today, and then one tonight. And it's collaborating with people not just in the UK but abroad as well, which is really amazing because you get that exposure to different audiences. You get to basically share your message with people around the world, essentially. And that's what I find is really important, is just getting that message across, letting people know what my story was, what my struggles were, and then how I've got to a point of enlightenment now.
Mhm.
And just giving people that hope that, and also letting people know that they're not alone in their journey, because yeah, like you said, it's very lonely. So there
Lonely.
is help out there. There's people out there who can, share their stories, who can talk to you about your stories and really help you along the way. And I think that's just really important for people to hear. And yeah, they might hear it once, they might hear it twice, but I think it's something that needs to be said over and over
Mm. Well,
because
I'm delighted that you, because I'm in quite a few collaborations as well, and I've been really coming to, I've been sort of a solopreneur for a few years, and it's really hard work.
it's
And actually, now that I'm kind of letting in that supportive energy, and the work that we're here to do is bigger than us as individuals. And even if we move sort of in and out, like I love the idea you're doing a summit. It was my summit that's really sort of catapulted. Suddenly, I've got all this kind of this attention and interest, and I'm meeting all sorts of people, and I've got this potential and that potential and this, and things are just starting to come to life now. Um, and yeah, because the work is bigger than one person, and the whole point of it is this, you talked. I've got my fingers crossed because I want to ask you about your struggles. Not that we want to give them too much energy. Um, but the abundance thing, when that, my summit was all about changing the energy around money, and that when money is treated with fear and regarded as scarce, then of course that's what happens. But it's just a decision, isn't it? It's just a choice. It's like, well, we've got everything, and actually in this minute we all have everything that we need sat here on our fancy gadgets in our home. It's like we're not really struggling for too much, are we? And but yeah, so tell me a bit about your story. Where did you come from? You're obviously here, and where are you going?
Yeah, so for me, just going really far back, I was born in the UK, but I grew up in Africa. So I spent 9 years over there. And then when I moved back to the UK, um, I was 13. And so when I started school here, I was bullied for 2 years because I was different. I had this accent. Yeah, I had guys bullying me as well as girls. Girls sort of took me to like this area and just abandoned me and said, "Oh, we've got to do something." And then they sort of said, "Oh, wait here." I had no idea where I was. I was new here. Well, not new, as in I'd been to the UK, but just I didn't know the whole area. So I was just sort of like, okay, now what? I have to find my way back. And then I had guys burn my hair, put gum in my hair, and call me names
Where
and
did
make
you grow
songs. And
up? Where were you?
sorry.
Where were you? Sorry, geographically, where is this awful town? I don't want to go anywhere. Where were you in
I'm
London?
in the southeast. Yeah, so basically just outside of London. So yeah, that kind of
Sorry,
happened, and then
awful.
yeah, so and funny enough, I haven't talked about that until recently. I hadn't shared that publicly until the summit I've just done, where I shared that story. And then following a bit further on, I went through anxiety attacks, depression, due to, I guess I was having my own internal battles. And um, I guess going in the believe way, it was part of my soul contract that I needed to go through that really difficult time to then expand my inner being, to then be able to do what I want to do later on. So going through that was basically the knock on the door to spirituality, because I came across pranic healing, so started doing energy healing. They were like, "You were so receptive to energy, why don't you become a pranic healer?" So I trained in that, got into crystals as well. Then I started to come across Live and Raf, started to do that. And then I also joined my coach and mentor in the US, who I mentioned. So I became a certified business and spiritual coach under her.
Mhm.
Um, so that's kind of how my story transitioned from all that suffering into spirituality, into understanding that we are these unlimited, infinite beings with so much potential, and just incorporating non-physical, incorporating the multiverse into what we do, and just how much knowledge there is for us to really understand, and just using that to start a business, to help other people who have been through struggles, and really letting go of what's holding us back. So
Mm.
that's kind of my story, bringing you up
How
to
long have
date.
you been in business?
Sorry.
Sorry, remember that's that thing in Zoom. You can't talk over somebody, can you? Um, how long have you been in business?
So I started my business in October 2019. So 18 months, I think,
Yeah,
without
and
calculating
yeah,
it. So,
about right. And you do it, and are you guessing you've got everything that you? Is everything going, according to plan? Is there anything that you'd love to have more of in your business? I mean, obviously you've got.
um, I guess, like anyone else, more clients would be absolutely great. um, my main sort of plan is, I'm still in my corporate job, so to be able to transition into my business full time is my aim for this year. So I'm really hoping to make that come true. The desire has been set.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it
So
sounds like you're an action taker, so you're in the right kind of frame.
yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, in terms of everything set, I've got lots of support. I'm part of masterminds as well, so
Mm.
I work with a high level mastermind for the business side, and then I've got my coach on the spiritual side. Do I still do a lot of work with Live and Ref as well to help me progress in that way? So I kind of feel like I've got like this surround of expertise, and then from that comes the communities as well, so lots of support from the communities as well. So yeah, I guess I can't complain in that sense.
No. And I think something that you say there, like it's I was struggling around, and it was when I got a coach that I started to shift. And that's a really interesting thing about money as well, isn't it? That, we penny pinch and, oh God, I can't spend this and I can't do this. But I got a VA to help me with my summit because I just thought that stuff turns my brain to mush trying to.
Yeah,
She did it beautifully and she made it all look great, and and people bought the summit, and it's like there is this flow,
yeah,
and money does want to move, but we often can't find all that stuff by ourselves. I think it's because I don't think we're meant to be doing all this stuff on our own. I think that's
so true. That's exactly what I'm starting to realize, is that, because before I used to kick myself because I kind of always felt like I had the shiny syndrome object, because there'd be a coach that I'd be working with and then someone else would put something out and I'll be like, oh, I want that. But what I'm starting to understand is exactly what you said. One coach can't give you everything because they're an expert in, say, business strategy, but they can't give you the spiritual side. Or, if they're on the spiritual side, they can't give you guidance on how to make funnels, or kind of like how to set up a summit virtually and things like that. And that's what I think I'm starting to get my head around, is actually one person can't give you everything. So when you are investing in different things, it's it's basically bringing the flow into it, because you're giving other people the expertise, and they get to do their thing and come back to you, and you get to be all happy. So,
exactly, and you keep your vibration high, and I think that's really important because when we're, that floundering around trying to do all the bits and pieces and feeling like you're in tech spaghetti, and it's just I didn't coin that phrase, but I stole that phrase. I love it. It's like
I love that too.
phrase. You can just see yourself burying. My daughter had to do she had to do that thing from Elf, the film Elf
Oh
with
yeah.
Will Ferrell, where he has to munch his way through all this plate of, it was disgusting. She had to make this little recording of herself with spaghetti covered in cookies and cream, and it was quite revolting. And every time I hear that expression, tech spaghetti, I see my daughter with this plate of spaghetti,
Oh.
cold spaghetti at that. Um, But yeah, I just think, and the more people embrace that as well, the more sort of satisfied we're all going to feel. And
Yes.
because for me, one of the things that's so oppositional to abundance is feeling lonely. When I'm feeling lonely and like I've got to try and do it all by myself, that is the exact opposite of when I feel abundant. And it's like, oh, that's your area of expertise. You
Yeah.
take care of that, which leaves me free, like you say, to be in my happy space. Which of course we're infinitely more productive when we're in our
Yeah.
happy space
Exactly.
because we're going with our natural energies.
Yeah. Totally. I couldn't agree more.
So, yeah. And ever had any imposter syndrome? Has that ever cropped up for you, or are you clear
Yeah,
of?
I think anyone that says no is lying. In fact, I just had this conversation with a friend of mine, and he said he was watching a documentary, and like people like Patrick Swayze had it really bad, Tom Hanks had it really bad, Captain America had it really bad. So yeah,
It's
it's
natural.
it's real, and it's affecting. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, it will creep up at some point. And I think, yeah, it's just being able to understand it and then figuring out what tools work best for you. And I think that's where a lot of like the limited beliefs come in, which is where, I help people. And I'm not just saying that it's a one time fix. It's just every time you up level in your business, every time you up level in your career or personal life, you're going to get to a point where new limited beliefs come in, or new imposter syndrome comes in, because it's a new level that you've never been to. Your ego's like, let's stay safe, let's stay safe. The subconscious is like, this is not what we know, let's go back, let's retreat. But yeah, to get to that next level, you have to go through that. You have to ride the wave, you have to understand it, you have to work through it, and then get comfortable at that new level, and then you'll come across it again when you want to go up again. So
Yeah.
it's just part of life, but it's just how you look at it and how you basically overcome it, rather than just sitting in it and saying, right, this is it, retreat, everyone back down, let's move back.
A lot of people do just retreat, don't
Yeah.
they? And I think that's the difference between these people, between people like you, like me, like probably a lot of the people who'll be listening to this, are people who just want to push to that next level. You've got that. I always say, if you've got that desire inside you, if there's that little thing in your heart that's saying, please open up, then then that's the call. That is exactly the call. It's like if your heart is beating a little bit faster, if your palms are sweating a wee bit, or something's, the energy's alive, isn't it? It's
Yes,
You're an energy
definitely.
worker. When we're not, when the energy's dead, then there's no movement, there's no progression. So.
Yes, that's so true. Totally agree. So, can I just ask, in terms of like, I know you said you had a real success with the summit, and
Mhm.
so this podcast that you're doing is sort of like come out of that. Are you able to share a bit more about like the podcast and what your plans are around it?
My podcast is that you. This is in its infancy. It's just
Okay.
it's just starting. So I'm not going to. I will obviously be. I quadrupled my mailing list
Oh,
through.
right. Wow. Okay.
Fantastic. So obviously everybody on my mailing list is going to know about it, and it's on. It's going to. So my plan is to obviously need to check that people are comfortable with this. To have like this. There'll be a shared screen video that will
Mhm.
be on YouTube, and then I'm going to pull out the audio and put that onto a podcast platform where it's a bit of a kind of, I see podcasting as quite symbiotic. So your audience gets to hear about me, and my audience gets to hear about you, and then because ultimately everybody goes to the place where they feel aligned, don't they? So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I really like her, or
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a lot of my people came from another one of my teachers, because that's sort of how it rolls. So yes, it's very much about this. My thing is about money. It's about bringing money out of the darkness. This book. So these are the two books that most inspired me. Sarah McCrum, who wrote. This was a download. Can you see it? I've not got self view,
Yes.
so I don't know what you can see. I'll show self
Yeah, I
view.
can.
Right.
Yeah.
So she had just her business had gone under in the 80s, 90s. You know, that sort of late 80s crash. She was in the city of London running something called the Energy Bank, and it went tits up. And she was sat at a talk one night, and she got given this book called How to Become a Money Magnet, I think, and there were exercises in it. And one of the exercises was, if money could talk to you, what would it say? And she sat down, because she's a good student, she sat down and she started writing, and she looked up, whatever, half an hour later. I'll read to you what it said. It said, I would like to tell you to love me, smile at me, collect me, enjoy me, feel my power, spend me, invest me, give me, pay with me, take me. I am an energy. I am very powerful and beautiful. I am an incredible web of connections. I am light. I am not dirty. You are too afraid of me as you are of many things. You can open up and embrace me fully into your life. It is not too late. You can start now. Just open yourself and say yes. Be brave. Love me. Love yourself so you can accept my power, my glory, my light, my beauty. I am not the devil. I never have been. I am a glorious being of light. And then it goes on a little bit more, but it's like I heard her on a business summit, on a conscious business summit, and
Yeah.
I was just hooked. And this idea, you know, because so many of us grew up with this idea that money is evil and money is
Yes.
dirty. And so I did a lot of work with her, went on retreats, consciousness of money and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I discovered this book, by
Right.
Barbara Wilder. So Barbara spoke on my summit. Sarah didn't actually speak on my summit because Sarah speaks on so many summits. I decided to do it a bit differently with her, which was loads of members of her community spoke on the summit
Right. Okay.
to really show kind of how ordinary people, you know, Sarah did 22 years with a Chinese master, and, you know, and it's been her work where
Yeah.
what I actually wanted to bring into the world was like you know, I can get that vibe of you as well, that you've actively made a decision to not just be, you know, buffeted through life, but you've said, no, I am in charge here. I'm going to connect with all the non-physical that can support me, and I'm going to I'm going to create my own destiny.
Mhm.
And I think we're, you know, I don't listen to the news, so I don't get all that stuff coming at me all day about how we're all going to die. Um, and I feel massively empowered by it because the zeitgeist wants to keep us, whatever. I mean, you know, there are some very dark theories around about what's going on in the world, and I don't know exactly where I land with them. But what I'm pretty sure about, well, 100% sure about, is that if you stay with the light, then you're much more likely to end up in a better place than you are if you stay in the dark. And so
Yeah.
I just want to open people. I mean, you're obviously open to it. It's not like I'd need to do any persuading, but the more we talk about it collectively, and that's where the collaboration things comes in, the more we're speaking this, saying it out loud, standing up, particularly when we're light workers, because the light workers have the capacity to do the healing. But when they're hiding away and shunning money in particular and going, oh, no, no, that's going to make me evil, then we don't stand a chance.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, it's just sort of brought to mind. I actually, was it, I'm losing track of months. Last month or the month before, I can't even remember now. I ran a masterclass about money, and so what actually happened was I got a download from non-physical for an energetic practice to do during my masterclass, and it was about like releasing those sort of blocks. So it was like incorporating like all the learning from, you know, normal way, but then bringing in the higher self and getting everyone to connect to their higher self and releasing that. And then I got a message the next day from someone who was on the masterclass saying, money I've been chasing for months has just come into my account overnight. And I was like, yes. So it's things like that.
It's
Yeah.
incredible, and it's that
It's just incredible.
willingness to open up. I have a little money meditation, and a friend of mine listened to it, and she had the similar sort of experience. She thought she owed some money on her student loan. Literally within 4 hours of listening to the meditation, she got this notification saying your student loan is cleared, no more repayments. And she thought she had another year's worth of repayments. It was £888 she suddenly had that she didn't have before.
What?
And
That's amazing.
engagement with it, and the willingness, because we were talking about spending a lot. I'm on master classes and this, that, and the other, and I spend an enormous amount of money. And the other side to the outflow is the inflow, and it's really allowing ourselves and growing our energetic container. And like you said, it's so much to do with self-worth and self-love and self-belief. And yeah, there's so much empowerment to be had.
There
And at
is.
the end of the day, it's not all about money in the bank either. It's about how just that appreciation of everything that we have. Four limbs, good set of teeth, lungs that work, a heart that's pumping. It's just really that gratitude. I mean, one of Sarah's little catchphrases is what you appreciate appreciates. And
Mm.
when we bring gratitude and we bring recognition to what we have, and that's where so many people go wrong, because they're grumbling all the time about all the rubbish in their life. And of course, that's what they get more of, because that's how the law of attraction works. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. It's so incredible. I just love that. And yeah, just you putting on the summit is probably been life changing for so many people as well. So yeah, it's exciting to know that you're gonna continue that conversation because like you said, it's so needed. So many people need to hear it. And it's still one of like the biggest blocks people have is just this misconception around it and just not understanding that it's energy and it needs to flow. So yeah, I'm excited to hear all the conversations.
Well, I would love to. I mean, another little string to my bow that I'm working with. I've got is to bring. You probably know Mind Valley because you know America, but we don't have anything like that over here. And I'm wanting to bring these voices to create a platform. I when we get into big kind of visualizations, that's what I see is having these, showcasing teachers like you and saying, look, this person, and so that we create within that like info products, and then we get our lovely passive income that's just happening while we sleep. But bringing all of that messaging in, because the louder we talk, and when one person's on their own, they've got to shout and scream and make a big noise, and then they don't get heard. But when we're because I think there's a real issue with the American way, which is quite loud and abrasive, and we can't hear it in Europe.
Yeah.
It's just too. My dad listened to the summit, and most of my interviewees were American, and there was one
Okay.
with me and a woman called Sarah Jennings, who's big. She's really into getting healers to show up and be visible and receive money and stuff. Anyway, my dad sent me this text saying, "Oh, you and Sarah Jennings were the stars of the show," and I was like, "I know it's because she has an English accent. I just know it. I know my dad so well, and he lives in France, and there's this kind of reservation that we have, which is fine. I think the important thing is to honour that. So I love the sound of what you do, and I would. I mean, obviously, we're going to. I might stop recording because I feel like we might have done the exploration that we need to do. But is that something that you would be interested in, kind of going forward, coming onto whatever guise it's? I'm working with a couple of guys to sort of formulate what that might actually look like and how it gets done. Um, but would you be interested in some more collaboration?
Oh, absolutely. That sounds so perfect. And I totally agree with what you say. I think we are slightly a bit more behind in Europe, and even doing inner work, or connecting with non-physical things like that, it's still very alien, whereas people are a bit more open to it in America. So to be able to be on the front line of helping this continent move forward, I would be more than honored to be part of it.
And you've got such gorgeous energy. I really, really, I can totally see you. Me bringing you onto stage and going, and here's Karishma Sharma.
That would be incredible. Are you thinking of doing it sort of in person down the line,
Down
or?
the line, I mean, I've been following Vishen for as long as I've kind of been on my spiritual journey. Vishen Lakhiani has been. I suspect I have the same. There's this thing called wealth dynamics. Have you ever heard of wealth dynamics? A guy called Roger Hamilton. I'm going to go and grab something
Okay.
and show it to you because it'll make sense when you see it. You're clearly not afraid of spending the odd penny.
No,
It
I
does cost.
think I've spent too many.
Well, no, me too. But there you go. It's going to come back to us. It comes back 10 times once we get going.
Yes,
So,
I'm still waiting for it, but it will.
exactly. So he this is you get a 36-page thing. Anyway, there's a little thing you can do online, and we end up it's based on the I Ching, so we end up in one of these little categories.
Right.
I'm a star, which
Okay.
puts me here. Oprah Winfrey is a star, and I suspect Vishen Lakhiani is a star. And what
Right.
stars are really good at is showcasing other people and going, like, I'm really good at going, this person's brilliant. You've got to. Where Richard Branson, for example, is a creator. Um, and then you've got the tempos and the steels down here, and they're the process people. So you'll have people like me. I'm a great initiator. I'm like, yeah, off I go, and then I need people behind me tidying everything up because I'm off to the next. Like energy goes through me really fast, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What's next? What's next? What's next?" I get bored. So the summit,
That sounds
I like those little projects. So the idea of working with one person and bringing them onto the stage, and that's great. And then it's like, "Who's next?" In a dismissive way, but just in an expansive
yeah,
way. In
in an
like,
excitable way.
yeah. What is there? Because there is so much. Anyway, it's worth doing. Although if you can get a buddy to do it, they often do. I could give you a code. It's about $97.
Okay.
But you could. There's a code which is wealth with a capital W and 50 wealth 50. I think that will work if you wanted to do it. I mean, you don't have to do it, but it's quite an interesting way. So you were asking what I'd love to. I see in the initial stages with the Mind Valley thing. I've got to get a better name for it. I've got to give it a proper name. Mind Valley of the UK doesn't really work. Um,
Yeah.
but initially, so when I went to do the summit, I was like, okay, how do you do a summit? Okay, well, you go and ask a few people if they'll talk, and you put some dates in the diary, and you make some recordings, and then you put it on a fancy, put it on Kartra, and bingo, you've got. And that's kind of what happened. And so I'm feeling like it's the same sort of thing. You get people to create info product. I mean, do you always work one to one, or do you have any kind of info product that do you have
Um,
a course that could be hosted online, or would it always have to be you?
at the moment, it's all one to one, because when I take people through the subconscious work, it's very in depth. So it needs to be done sort of one on one. It can be done in a group setting, but at the moment, I'm focusing on just giving that person their sort of privacy.
Yeah, because you want to
Um,
hold the energy as well, don't you? But feel
yeah.
into it. Feel if there's anything that if because I don't know if you know. There's a woman, Christy Marie Sheldon is one of his women
Yes.
whose work is not dissimilar to yours, I would say. And
Yeah,
somehow
yeah.
he's managed to. I actually have Mind Valley Access all areas, so I might have a look and see what she's done, how she's created her. Yeah, I'll let you know because she's obviously. I remember seeing some masterclass, and I was thinking, well, how would you do that if you weren't with the person? But as we know, energy is not fussy. It doesn't need to be. It'll move through time and space and everything else. So maybe that's something for you for the future to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, my plan is this year is to start putting together like self-study courses and things like that as well. So,
They're
yeah, that
great.
is
The energy
pipeline.
goes once. You create that thing and you put loads and loads and loads into it, but then it can just sit. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of passive income, I have to say.
And a lot of what I'm doing with sort of my non-physical team is putting together these energy practices and just pumping them out onto social media. So I've done like money. I've done one on self-love. In fact, I did it last night to close like a session for the summit I'm part of, and everyone was like, "Wow, that was incredible!" So it's
Wow.
just
What's
yeah.
the summit? What's the summit you're doing?
It's women in business. So yeah, I don't know if you've heard of the founder is it's based in the UK,
Hmm.
but she's got quite a wide reach. And as part of the summit, the speakers got to be published. Like we got published articles. We've been yeah, they've reached out to different charities. So there's supporting charities. So it's been quite big. I don't know how far the audience went. I know it was at 2,000 people, but reach wise, it was like over 2 million people had been reached through social media.
Amazing.
So yeah, it was yeah. So it's been quite incredible, and it's been over 10 days. So and there's been 40 speakers. So there's been like loads of live panels, and we
Mm.
pre-recorded all our interviews, sort of similar to how we've just having this conversation. But then there were a few sort of live sessions where people could really break down into like practical steps and things like that. So it's been interesting. And I guess it's just like how you've run your summit. It's all learning, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's the first one I've taken part in. So for me, being a speaker, I've learned a lot as well. And then you get to connect with people you probably never would have even known of,
Absolutely.
and then you build those connections, collaborate that way. So yeah, it's amazing what comes out of it. And then, like you said, you built your mailing list by 3 times, which is
Awesome.
incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And met some really super powerful women in particular, actually, women who are working in leadership, who've done coaching in leadership. And that, I think that's a really key. That's why I asked you earlier, how much success, because this stuff that we're doing is, it's new world,
Mhm.
arguably. Well, it isn't. It's new world. Um, and there's still that kind of ooh. I've met a woman recently who's in Denmark, and very corporate bricks and mortar background, made a lot of money, but she's like she doesn't want to have anything to do with that world anymore. And she told me the other day she did some magic mushrooms, and that was and the process the doing the magic mushrooms was what kind of opened this thing up for her. I mean, she's in her 50s, she's like I'd never done anything like that before. But it cracks a little thing open for her of oh wow, there's other stuff going on. And COVID, I mean, I've heard it said that COVID was the wake up call. It was like anybody who is woke now is woke. That was it. That was the call. Anyone who wanted to go down that route, we're on the route now. And some people have said the timelines have actually split. There are two different It's like there are two different paradigms now occupying the globe.
Right.
We've got the old paradigm and we've got us. Um, and, I was talking to a friend last night and saying, we may not see the full expression of this in this lifetime because there's a lot of stuff to unpick.
Mhm.
We're here at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Like really exciting.
Yeah. I was just gonna sort of go back and ask you if you've ever seen Vision live.
No. Oh, Vision Live. I thought we said Vision. No, I never. I thought we said fish in life. I was like, no. No,
Vision.
I've never seen Vision live. No,
Oh,
I tried. I was going to go to A Fest a couple of years ago, and I was with a boyfriend who was very old paradigm, and then I ended up spending my money on actually something quite great with him. But I didn't. No, I didn't. Have you?
yeah. I actually flew to Dubai because they were doing so there was like this entrepreneur festival, but Mind Valley had like their own stage there, and it was like over a few days. And I was like, am I being crazy to fly out there to go and see Mind Valley? And I've got a cousin who's moved out to Dubai, so I was like, it's two in one. I get a holiday, get to see family, and then get to go there. He his energy is just incredible. Honestly, he was just, you could just feel it like oozing out of him. He's just got this energy, and everyone in the Mind Valley sort of area just sees him as like a god. There was people crying, there was people like, you saved my life and things like that. So it was just like, wow. And then so they got to a point where they were like, loads of people want to, their dream is to speak on a Mind Valley stage. So they were like, does anyone want to come up on the stage? And I was just like, I want to, but I was just so terrified, and I could feel myself sweating, and then I could just hear my higher self go, it's now or never, do it.
Yeah.
And I put my hand up, and they called me up on stage. So I've got pictures with my hands up like this, with the Mind Valley sort of, I guess, wings, or I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
Yes.
I've got my hands up like that on the stage,
Wow.
and they let me say my name and where I was from. So I spoke on a Mind Valley stage.
Wow, that is very cool. You see, you were supposed to come and meet because we can trailblaze this thing over here. That is great. Good for you.
Oh, I know. I was just like, I was so sweaty and like nervous, but
Mhm.
like, he sort of, him, and I guess he's ex, I don't know what they call themselves, because it's not like they're not divorced, right?
They're
They're just,
conscious uncoupled.
but what are they, ex-partners? I
Yeah,
don't
I
really
think.
know. So they kind of like sit at the top, and then they've got all the other sort of Mind Valley people. But even them, they were just like so amazing. Like, oh my God, I did the breath work, and holy moly, that was just tears and all sorts. And then you had like all the others, and I went up to speak to them, and I sort of chatted to them and stuff, and they were like, you flew all the way from the UK to see us. So they started texting Vision, like, this girl's like literally flown over from the UK to see us, but he had left at that point. And then I got to take a photo with him because he was signing books. So, but I didn't take my book with me. So I just went up. I was like, I just want a photo. So
Hmm.
I got a photo with him. But he's really small. In my,
Yeah, I got the feeling he was small,
he's
actually.
really small.
I
But
kind of knew
yeah,
that
his
about.
energy is huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
Oh,
And then we
wow.
did the 6 phase meditation, like in a room of like 2,000 people. Wow. That was incredible.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah. Oh, it's so exciting to speak to a fellow Mind Valley lover.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is kind of just in my field. Everything's coming together. I can just feel it. It's been a delight to meet you.
Yes, you too.
While we're on, shall we book a time to? I mean, I'm actually looking at this thinking I'm not very clever with the whole recording, like editing, but I think we've had a really good conversation.
It's been very natural.
Been really natural. And so why don't we book a time? But when I play this back, I think, do you know what? I could edit this to be Oh, I could get somebody to help me edit it. To be a conversation, then do you feel okay about using it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of feel like sometimes the more raw and natural it is, the more it really connects with people. So yeah, I'm happy to go with
Well,
what.
do you know what? I think on the basis of that, because I really, really love your energy and I love the conversation that we've had, and I know we've gone, I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to leave that last little bit. So anybody who's listening to this is, we're all just human beings doing our thing. And I love the fact, like, I quite like Clubhouse. It's a bit noisy, but I like the fact that everything's in real time and it's not censored and it's not what's it, airbrushed or whatever. It's like this is who we are, and the more we have the opportunity to show up as our real, authentic selves. And you've got your beautiful background and your hair's looking gorgeous, and I took the precaution of putting some
I would
lipstick on before.
stick on if I knew.
And you look gorgeous. So
Oh,
if you just send me over some links and bits and pieces.
of course.
Um, and then if I think we could just run with this and just pop it out there and see where we go.
Yes.
I like
Amazing.
I like flow as well. I like things to just go, and it did feel really natural talking to you. So,
Yes. Oh, thank you. That's amazing. I'm
ooh.
really excited. I'm like, yeah. And yeah, it's quite amazing because I didn't expect to come onto this call, see the Believe book behind you, and then connect over Mind Valley. So absolutely amazing.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day. Send me
you.
some links, and if you want to, I can send you this recording, and if you want to send it out to your people as well, because I think that's really important. Is how we just get to know each other. It's like we're all here doing our thing. All right.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
Well done for all your summit stuff. It all sounds amazing, and yeah, have a little feel into what's you've obviously very good at feeling into what's now for you. But yeah,
Yeah,
we'll be in touch.
brilliant. I will do.
All
Thank you
right.
very much.
Okay, Karishma, thanks a million.
Okay, thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.